Hi everyone, welcome to Appliance Advisers. I'm Francesco, joined by Dennis. Today we're going to talk about cabinet style and how that can affect your appliance install. And since we're talking about cabinets here, we had to make sure we brought in our resident interior designer here, Dennis McDonald.
Yeah, so. A lot of trial and error. I wouldn't say by any, the interior and designer do not go with me, but I do enjoy kind of playing it on TV. I will say, we want to give a shout out to, we went to some of the experts and we just peruse some of the great content, and there's a lot of content on this stuff out there, but really, vestibule.com and then Caroline on design.com, we're going to link to some of their pages. They did some really good write-ups on this.
Awesome.
And there's a lot out there, but, I thought it was important just to talk about, I know we ask a lot of times the type of cabinetry because the type of cabinetry will determine it specifically when people are trying to get flush insulation or paneling appliances. It's really important to know. And it's crazy. Well, it's not crazy. You don't buy cabinets that often, most people. Right. And when they do, they fall in love with the look, but they don't, a lot of times don't even resonate with what style it is. So when they get into the store, we're trying to say, okay, does it look like this? Does it look like that? Because we're trying to make sure that we match up the right product for the right depth or size of the cabinet.
Yeah.
So
it's that terminology and lingo that they may not know. Yeah.
Correct. So I think maybe we look at like the three most common types is the first, and it's very popular, and it's very popular in New England as well, is inset cabinetries. Inset cabinetry is literally where the face of the cabinet is set within the frame for a totally flush look. It's very high end, looks like furniture, gives a furniture look. You don't see the hinges. Those are kind of all the frames. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's also generally the most expensive type of cabinet, but we have a lot of customers that do them. We'll get into some of the pros and cons of that, but that's inset. The next one, and probably the most popular, I know a lot of kitchen designers like working with it because it's a little more forgiving. It offers great value and it offers a beautiful look, is frameless full overlay. Yeah. So that just means you don't see the frame, you see the door. It's very clean. You don't see the hinges generally. Yeah. It gives you a bigger cabinet because actually when you do an inset cabinet, because remember the door sits within the frame, you lose about an inch or two of actual space in the cabinet left to right, and sometimes they're a little more shallow front to back. Yeah. And frameless overlay just kind of gives still the very clean look when you look at it, but again, you don't see the reveals and whatnot. And we'll get into that too, because the inset cabinet is kind of looking like a piece of furniture. It all looks flush. That's the beauty of it. The downside to that is that inset, specifically in New England for sure, those cabinets made out of wood and they expand and contract.
Yeah, and that's kind of like that gap you see around the cabinet.
And when you factor in probably 60% of cabinets are some hue of white, white reveals everything.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's very common for those cabinet shops to have to do an annual adjust because, the summer comes, now everything's swelling up, a door's rubbing, or it's not forgiving. You see every line because that's the style.
You better be perfect on that.
So if you're super type A, man, make sure they'll come back a lot for you, or kind of the charm is what it is, as long as you can deal with that.
And with the appliances too, we talk about the install. Like if you have inset cabinets, you got to make sure, like if you're installing a flush appliance, that needs to be perfect.
And we're going to touch on that. I'll talk the last one. We talked about frameless full overlay, and then this frameless partial overlay. That's as you go down inset to frameless overlay, probably anywhere between a 20 to 30% savings to do full frameless overlay, that one we just spoke about. When you go to frameless partial overlay, that's more of a stock cabinet. A lot of people have them. I mean, they're fine. They're great. And specifically now in a tougher economy, you see more of them come about. But that's where you do see some of the frame, and then the door does overlay the top. Yeah. To your point, back to where you were going, inset is the one our ears perk up very quickly. Mainly because it's unforgiving, right? We talked about that look. The customer that bought that cabinet wants a very clean, linear look. And so it's very important to then get into the appliances and how they're going to install. I'll give you an example. And there's no perfect rhyme or reason to this, but cabinets can vary in depth depending on it from 22.5 to 24 inches deep. And a lot of times you then look at the manufacturer's specifications. Take a Wolf wall oven, popular Wolf wall oven. It's 23 3/4 inches deep, the physical body. And then it's asking for a 24-inch deep cabinet. So you could be a consumer and you just look at your cabinet and say, oh, I have a wall cabinet for a wall oven here. I'm looking at it. And maybe a lot of times homeowners don't go this deep, but you'd be like, oh, it's calling for 24 inches deep. And I'm looking on the plan, the cabinet is 24 inches deep. Yeah. Well, many times you got to be really careful in that and look a bit further, because front to back, the cabinet could be 24 inches, but Wolf is calling for an interior dimension of 24 inches. While the cabinet's 24 inches, it's actually 23 and a half inches with a 1/2 inch plywood backer or wood backer behind it. So really your interior space is only 23 and a half.
And then you're pushing that door out.
Then you're having people have to scribe out the back of the cabinet, cut out sheetrock depending on how deep the cabinets were. And now you have an issue with that. So it's something that can be avoided as long as it's or planned for. You just want to get deep on that initially. We see it particularly when people want to panel a dishwasher. And now I don't care if it's inset or frameless overlay or partial overlay or whatever the heck cabinet you have. If you're doing a paneled dishwasher, unequivocally, you want a European style dishwasher. That means you need a dishwasher that is 23 1/4 inches deep, because most of the cabinet panels they're going to make are 3/4 inch cabinet panels. So now, whether it's inset, frameless overlay, partial overlay, if we know that cabinets are standardly 24 inches deep, 23 1/4 plus 3/4 equals 24, everything looks like a cabinet. And that's just something, I think back to when I first started, I just knew I was trained on that. And it was nothing against them because they're far smarter than me, but it was an engineer. And he came and he's like, well, listen, I can make this KitchenAid fit and I'm going to do this and that. And he's an engineer and he was very smart. Okay. He had this thing teched out and drawn out. He came back and needed to return it. And I let him off the hook because, truthfully, he was brilliant. But I think it was just, it gets very hard to even accommodate those American styles. And if you do, even if you were, how much are you spending to pull everything out?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. As well, so that's just something we think about. So frameless overlay and partial overlay, even when you're doing a stainless steel dishwasher, those are questions we're going to be asking you. How important is it to you that you want things flush? If you want your wall ovens flush or your microwave drawers flush, we need to make sure we communicate that to the designer, and we make sure that the cabinet line that you're looking at can truly make those adjustments and accommodations. You also can't just assume that any brand of appliance, every wall oven cannot be installed flush. Every under-counter refrigerator cannot be installed flush. Every built-in refrigerator cannot necessarily be installed flush, or there's details to doing it. So you want to make sure A, can it be done? And B, if it can your cabinets actually accommodate for the fact that it can? And that's something that a good, I think most appliance stores would just hand you cut sheets and say, hey, go get them. We're not cabinet folks. Good luck. And we will admit we are not. But I think it's a fair point that if we can help lead the designer or the builder or the cabinet maker and give them, hey, here's what they were looking at, and a good follow-up email to say, here are the cut sheets. They told me they had an inset cabinet because we looked at them. They want things flush. Here are the cutout dimensions. You just want to have the discovery early on in the process, not wait until it's done. And then
call out those specs specifically where you're saying you're looking at flush. And the great thing here too is, like you said, it's a lot of times the customers don't know the verbiage and they got to look at it. So the nice thing here for our salespeople and for the customers is that we've kind of showed them both ways. So if you look at any one kitchen, you might see inset cabinets with a flush install on the appliance. Then over here, you'll see overlay cabinets with kind of a proud non-flush install on the appliances, just so you can kind of get that aha moment and just say, oh yeah, that is what I got, or that's what I want, whichever way.
And that's true. And I think it's a great point, and we spend a lot of time on that. We actually install things both ways. And to some homeowners, they can come in and pick it up right away and say, oh, I don't like how this sticks out. And we're like, great. We wanted you to have that discovery because it can be installed both ways. Now we need to make sure we bring that forward to your designer so that everything is copacetic in the end. Otherwise, it's not. And we do that in a lot of ways. We show different thicknesses of counters because we know that this is what's done out there. And the last thing you want consumers to do, or that do these projects once every 10, 15, 20 years, if you're lucky enough to do one, is to come in here and throw a lot of vernacular and words at them and like make anyone feel half the time they're right with us, but so that everyone can have their aha moment and understand it on their own terms and truly make sure they're making good buying decisions and really ultimately getting what they want and not feeling like they don't know. Like, let's make it really easy. This isn't rocket science. It's cabinets. The stick out, the flush, basics. But that's, it's intentional. And, I think it's the mark of any good appliance store, and there's a lot of them out there. But it's something that you should really want to make sure you go to a place that can kind of show you everything that's possible.
Awesome. All right, well, that's going to do it. That's everything to consider when looking at your appliances and how they install in your cabinets.
And don't forget to follow us on social media for appliance tips and updates from Yale Appliance.
Your feedback is what shapes our series. Like what you saw, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you.
Stay informed and inspired on all your appliance needs. This is Appliance Advisors signing off.